Morning, good afternoon, good whatever time you're watching at this channel. I am the Queen of Africa, rebranded to the Global Queen. I have a very, very disturbing message to each one of us, over 8 billion on earth. We all know there was a world called the world of Noah, which was wiped away. There were also hundreds of millions of people living in the world of Noah. And only Noah, his wife, his sons, and their wives survived. Because for 50 years, God allowed Noah to speak to the world about and to warn them about the coming deluge. But nobody listened. For 50 years, they laughed at Noah that he was a crazy man and that he was wasting his family's time building an ark. Noah's world had an opportunity to be warned by Jehovah just 7 days before he brought the deluge, but they still didn't listen. He locked the ark and the rain started. And God made sure even their cries, no matter how painful, and don't forget there were also babies in the times of Noah. There were teenagers, there were young people. Nobody was saved other than those who were in the ark. As I talk this morning, those of you who are analysts on facial expressions and what is happening on someone's face, you can see my eyes are swollen because I've been crying. Why have I been crying? Because God has had enough of the mockery of this wicked system of things. Why do I call it mockery? God from creation, Jehovah God, from the time he created Adam and Eve, and they misused their free will, which was the fruit at the Garden of Eden. God has allowed mankind since then to use the version of their leadership, which has been a version of being led by other men, being led by kings from then up until now, when kings have been rebranded to presidents. And there is no difference between then and now because man has dominated man to his own injury. The leadership, whether it's the socialist, whether it's ideology, whether it's the British or American or even African leadership, all of it has dominated man to his own injury. And Jehovah God has had enough of being mocked. And what he has done is he has stood up from his seat and he has come to judge the world. We are living in the face of judgment. What does this mean? I want those of you who care to listen, if there is anyone out there who will care to listen and do what I will be instructing. For the last couple of months, if anybody has noticed a change in the skies at night, please come to my inbox and tell me what you see. When the skies are very clear blue or with some little bit of clouds, you will see something that is very phenomenal that is happening in the skies. You will see an arrangement in numbers of stars, and it's no longer the usual stars that you see scattered all over, but it's a theme. It's a message that the new heaven has started ruling, and the new heaven is new leadership. When the Bible talks of heaven, it doesn't just mean a new heaven in terms of where Jehovah lives or where the true God, the creator, the sovereign, the supreme God lives. No, that one doesn't have to be new because there is no sin there. New means new leadership on earth, and that new leadership has started. Those of you who have been following the Queen of Africa from the King and Queen of Africa TV, which has since been effaced from TikTok, but I don't want to talk about that because there was a reason why it was effaced. God was training her during that time, and now the training is over. She has started her message, her ministry, which is judging the world. And she's not the one who is judging the world. Those of you who have a Bible or who know what a report composes or a professional report, it usually has table of content, introduction, then the chapters in between, and at the end of it, it has a conclusion and recommendation, or recommendation and conclusion. And once the report is written, for those who are in leadership, there is something called the executive summary, so that executive summary is the one that is read by the CEOs or the leaders who don't have the time to scan through the entire document. When you read an executive summary, you will definitely understand the content and the context of the report. The Bible has got everything else. Table of context, 66 books from introduction, Genesis, to recommendation and conclusion, which is in Revelation. It only lacks an executive summary. God is writing an executive summary using his favorite daughter on earth, the one speaking to you. She has passed her test, just like Abraham passed his test when God tested him to go and kill his son. And he chose to go and kill his son. And when God saw that indeed Abraham would stop at nothing but kill his son, he told him it's enough. And he gave him a lamb. And when he was given that lamb, then God actually had given Abraham a command, a prophecy much earlier, that his generation or his descendants would be taken into captivity, which happened for 400 years. The Israelites were in bondage in Egypt, but we all know what happened, their deliverance after 400 years. Now, this world has come to an end. The wicked world has come to an end. And it has come to an end because God has taken back his supremacy and sovereignty. There are certain lies that have continued to be propagated by Satan, the devil, that good people will go to heaven. That's okay. Heaven belongs to Jehovah and all that he has placed in heaven. I think there are only two human beings besides Jesus who came from heaven and returned to heaven. We only have Enoch and we have Elijah, who are literally taken from earth, and God took them to heaven. The rest of us, we are here on earth. This is where God purposed that we may live a life of everlasting life. This is where everlasting life was lost, and this is where it will be restored. I want those of you who have ears to hear and listen. This system has come to an end. Why has it come to an end? Slavery has continued ever since creation, when man dominated man to his own injury, when Satan was deceived Adam and Eve. Now, this has come to an end because God has taken back his supremacy and sovereignty. God's kingdom is ruling. And those of us who've been praying, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Let your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That will has started being done on earth as it is in heaven. Africa, you're blessed. You are blessed to have leaders like Traore. You are blessed because it is in Africa where the Son of God came into hiding. That was in Egypt, into hiding, so that those who sought to kill him wouldn't kill him before the right time came. It is in Africa that the Son of God was preserved. It is in Africa that the daughter of God was born, bred, and is now speaking to you, giving you, as God himself writes, an executive summary as he brings a conclusion. Because when an executive summary is written of any report, the report is over, and it's upon those whose interest the report was written for to hint and to action. The executive summary is being rewritten. The daughter of God has since been upgraded and rebranded from the Queen of Africa to the Global Queen. Why the Global Queen? Because everybody in the world, in all the continents of the world, there is nobody who is created by another God. My Father Jehovah created each one of you, from high and the mighty to the poor and the lowly. And he has said enough is enough. Man dominating man to his own injury. Pareto law, where 20% control the economy of the 80%, where intimidation and lies have continued to be propagated in the name of political or class, elections, presidents, ministers, and every other kind of leadership that we have had. that leadership has failed. According to Daniel chapter 2, verse 44, a new kingdom has already been established. That's God's kingdom. It is being led by the most humble personality that ever walked on this earth, the most obedient to Jehovah, the most who did everything that was lined up for him. Is none other than Jesus Christ. Those of you who followed or know Jesus Christ, he healed the sick. He restored those who are blind. He unstopped deafness. He restored those who had leprosy. He fed the hungry. He resurrected the dead. He literally brought a solution to mankind's problem. If you remove sickness, death, suffering, we have a perfect world. And that's why God's kingdom, and that's why Jesus taught us to pray for God's kingdom to come and his will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. That kingdom has started ruling. And that kingdom starting to rule starts from where I am seated. And it starts to expand slowly, just like sin cropped into the world from the Garden of Eden and spread all over to every corner of the world. God's kingdom has started ruling. And starting ruling is that those who are already in power, starting from the President of America, going down to starting from Ruto, the President of Kenya, because I'm in Kenya where I'm talking from. And as ironical as it may sound, the person who has been given that mantle to lead God's kingdom, to lead the world into God's kingdom, is none other than His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto. I will not go back and take some of the pronunciations that I said about him, but figuratively, what they meant was that he needs to start leading in truth and in spirit. He needs to stop the lies that he has used in the past when he took the Bible and swore that he would defend the Constitution and that he would do what it takes to liberate Kenyans and lead them into Singapore. He knows what he meant. When he knelt on I think it's the 24th of February 2024, when he knelt down with his wife at Nyayo Stadium, when he was being prayed for by Benny Hinn and the leaders of churches from Kenya and all over. They laid hands on him and they prayed for him. That was not a mockery to Jehovah. God saw the zeal, God saw the humility, God saw the heart that is in Ruto, because I don't think there's any other living or dead president who has ever done what Dr. William Samoei Ruto. In fact, Dr. William Samoei Ruto has wept 3 times probably. The first time is when he got into power. He wept and cried and knelt down. And all the newspapers in Kenya were awash as headline, Ruto wept. When Ruto became the president, he called the Tanzanian choir to come and sing for him, Nimeuona mkono wa Bwana. That Bwana is Jehovah. And of course, on the 24th of February, 2024, and I want to say that was about 53 years ago, when the same day, 53 years ago, when the daughter of God was born, Ruto went down on his knees and he was prayed for. So, Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, this woman who is talking to you has no interest in politics, because she is the global queen right now. And the global queen, she has many titles. She's been upgraded from the Queen of Africa. She's the global queen right now. She's the daughter of God. She is passing this message to you together with Yoweri Museveni. Dr. Yoweri Museveni, I've been to Uganda, and I know you know what I did when I came to Uganda. And Mama Suluhu from Tanzania, the president of Tanzania. You also do know, I hope you've been debriefed, because I've been to the Tanzanian embassy in Kenya. The 3 of you being led by Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Dr. Museveni, and Dr. Madam Suluhu. You notice the 2 have doctorates which have been conferred from heaven. This sounds very ironical. This sounds very stupid as I air this, because all of them are not darlings to people, and they are not darlings to justice. They are not darlings to truth. They are not darlings to doing the right thing. But I want to remind everybody who is watching me this morning, or whatever time you're watching this clip, I want to remind you that when Jesus was walked on earth, he had collected, or he had gathered 12 disciples, 12 precisely. Those of you who know the Bible, you know the Bible talks of 12 tribes of Israel. The old Israel, the actual Israel, had 12 tribes or 12 children of Israel, and those figuratively represents the 12 tribes of the world, the entire world. So now 12 is very key. I was talking about um, 12 disciples of Jesus Christ. One of them was used to betray Jesus, and of course, that is Judas Iscariot. But Jesus had to die because his purpose was to die to liberate mankind from the bondage of sin. Now, he had to be replaced when Jesus went into heaven, because then that would mean one tribe of the world would be effaced if there were not 12 disciples. And when a meeting was held up in heaven, I was there. Don't ask me when and how. A team meeting was held up, led by our Father Jehovah God, and it was agreed that the person to replace Judas Iscariot was none other than Saul. Saul had a vision and was very zealous towards persecuting Christians. He actually witnessed and supervised the stoning of one of the disciples of Jesus, Stephen. And that decision was arrived at because the zeal that Saul exhumed then pleased my father, and it showed that if he turned into a good leaf, he would do the same, being a good person. And we all know what happened when he was struck blind. Then he became an apostle of Jesus Christ. He actually has spoken and written more books, I think, than any of the other disciples of Jesus Christ. And so that zeal is the one that Jehovah God has seen in Dr. William Samoei Ruto. When those things were being cut, when the daughter of God was in training, making trips to State House and to Arambi House and demonstrating and picketing alone and passing a message and writing you a letter on how you need to appraise your organization or your company, which is Kenya. It was not foul play. You've been given the mantle to lead the world into God's kingdom. You have been given the assistance of Dr. Yoweri Museveni. Dr. Yoweri Museveni, you've been in power the longest. You have done things that have not been right, but God has seen your zeal, and that is why you've been preserved to this moment, so that you can join hands and work together with Dr. William Samoei Ruto. There is a woman, and that gives a third of the gender rule. Madam Suluhu, she is not in Tanzania leading because she chose to. No, this is ordered by Jehovah himself, so that she can also represent the women fraternity. Dr. Madam Suluhu, you have been given that mandate, the three of you. And remember, three is very divine, absolutely very divine, so that you can lead the world into God's kingdom. Those of you who are expecting some phenomenal events to happen, please start looking and watching at the skies. When at night, you will notice an arrangement, a very clear, succinct arrangement of stars. And I would want those who are following to be able to come to my inbox and say what they see, just what you see, and write it down. Every time the sky is clear, there will be something happening, a demonstration of God's kingdom ruling using the stars. They are no longer scattered all over because it's now an arranged rulership. God has given you, Ruto, that mantle. And when the Queen of Africa then spoke and said that there shall be no elections in 2027, indeed, there shall be no election, because That chapter has ended. The chapter of neocolonialism has ended. Neocolonialism is where people steal very subtly. We have been voting for the longest since independence. That voters' card has never brought any change in the lives of the citizen of Kenya. We have moved from worst to worst, because there shall be no human being who can bring a solution to mankind's solution, who can bring a solution to mankind's suffering. And that is why God has taken back his supremacy and sovereignty. And so, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, you may choose to conclude whatever you choose to conclude, but your zeal has been noticed by Jehovah God. And you have what it takes to start doing things the right way. Doing things the right way is when you swore, and when everybody swears using the Bible. You know, when we swear using the Bible that we will protect the Constitution, and we don't do that, then this is the mouth of God we are misusing. That phase is over. It's time to do the right thing, because the wicked system is the wicked earth is being replaced with a new earth. And that new earth, or new heaven and earth, is new leadership, which is directed by none other than Jesus Christ himself, because he is the one ruling on earth under God's kingdom, and God's will has started being done on earth as it is in heaven. I would want to understand those of you who will take keen interest and look at the skies at night when the sky is clear. I would want to know where you're watching the skies from, because I am 2 kilometers away from State House in Kenya. That's where I live, and the stars are literally around that area. Of course, I have watched them around Kenyatta University when I was in training, Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital. I would want to know where this view that is so phenomenal, the signs that Jesus said would actually be seen in the skies. I would want to know where you're watching this from. And to the rest of those of us who are watching, I would want to remind you that indeed, when Noah built the ark, people laughed at him. They ridiculed him for 40 to 50 years. And when the time came, God was a bit kinder to the world of Noah than to today's world, because he gave, after the ark had been built, he gave Noah a warning and told him, in 7 days I will bring the deluge. And I'm sure Noah also warned the population of the time. But of course, they'd already made up their minds that Noah was crazy and wasting his time, so they didn't listen. That is why you notice there is no mother, sister, brother, auntie, cousin, neighbor, friend, church congregant of Noah. Only his new nuclear family that was saved. For the rest of you who are listening, your new earth, if you want to survive into God's kingdom, which has started ruling. And I said Noah's world had an opportunity to be warned. Ours does not. Jesus said it will happen as a thief happens. I may be given all the instructions that I'm passing, but I have not been given when and what will happen to the defiants. So it's up to you, as you record your TikToks, your Facebook, as you do everything, you wake up every morning, go to your workplace, as you do everything you're doing, it's up to you to start asking yourself, whatever I choose to do with this life that does not belong to me, because it doesn't belong to you. If it belonged to you, you would have full control. It belongs to Jehovah. Every time you look at yourself in the mirror, you see an image. That image is the image of God. I want you to start asking yourself, whatever I say, whatever I do, is it aligned in purpose to my having been created? Am I realizing what I was created to do according to Ecclesiastes 12, verses 13 and 14? When Solomon did everything he did, he was the wisest, the richest. He had many wives and many side chicks, over 800 of them. He sat back and said, the conclusion of the matter, Everything having been said and done is that the sole obligation of mankind having been created is to fear God, worship Him, to obey His commandment, because we will bring to judgment every act, whether it was good or bad. Now, to the religious leaders and to the religious organization, we are so fragmented in terms of a religion. We are all trying to speak about my religion being the right one. God is restoring pure worship on earth, because the true religion is the religion of worshiping the only true creator of heaven and earth. And whichever religion you're in, there are not two creators. There is only one creator. And I want to say that one creator has a name, just like you have a name. He cannot create you and give you a name, and he himself does not have a name. His name is Jehovah. He is supreme and sovereign. I want all the religious organizations, leaders on earth, starting with the Anglican Archbishop in Kenya, the Church of the Anglican Church of Kenya, Ole Sapit. You're just separated from State House by a road. You have been leading the Anglican Church. You have sat and listened and watched elections come and go, and you have said nothing. Religious organizations have continued to be complacent because they have committed immorality with the state. Immorality with the state in terms of colluding and praising political leaders as cutting all across from America. You saw the other day some leaders who placed hands on Trump to pray for him so that he can go and kill Iranians. You have seen people, church leaders, entertain leaders of all leaders of our institutions, entertain them in churches, because indeed the gospel of sin does not exist. It's the gospel of what we want to hear. Be warned. Be warned. Judgment is here, and you're going to be judged very cruelly as God removes false worship and replaces it with His pure, true worship. Religious organization, you've been put on notice. Those of you in leadership, you can change and start doing the right thing. Start telling, where are the Nathans? Where are the Isaiahs? Where are the Elijahs of today? Does that mean God changed? He no longer wants political leaders? That time has come. Start playing your role righteously and rightfully. Speak up when you see evil, because you must speak against evil and wickedness. So for those of you who are already lining yourselves up, to do it to be elected come 2027, the returning officer of these elections will be none other than Jesus Christ Himself. So those of you who think you can hope in and hope out of politics to go and steal and make yourself wealthy at the expense of others, God has had enough of that mockery. You will go into power if you're righteous, because it is now not Kenya. Kenya is going to be an example. And I've said Dr. William Samoei Ruto is going to be used by Jehovah God as an example if he chooses to listen. If he chooses to be like Saul, who listened and humbled himself and followed the instructions he had been given by Jehovah God, by the Holy Spirit. If Ruto chooses to listen, you're highly favored. You're actually one of the most favored human beings on earth. But if you choose to disobey, you will join the class of Nebuchadnezzar. People will remember you for eternity, because what God will do with you will be written in the executive summary of the Bible as He concludes this wicked system of things. So life is about two choices. You choose life or death. You choose good or bad, and that is all. So Dr. William Samoei Ruto, it's really up to you. You have your 2 term is not 2 term, and it's not 1 term according to your opposers, but it's gonna be a term that will be defined by Jehovah God, and it's going to be a term that you yourself you have influence by doing the right thing. Doing the right thing is changing your leadership style from the wicked one, from the one that is full of lies, from the one that is full of greed and corruption, to doing the right thing. And you will be blessed as you do the right thing, as David did. Read 2 Samuel chapter 12, when David sinned with Bathsheba and took Bathsheba and killed her husband Uriah, and a child was born. Nathan the prophet went to David and warned him. And when David was warned and given a pronunciation or his verdict that he would die because of the sin he had committed, David cried and asked Jehovah to forgive him. Yes, he was forgiven, but the child had to die. But he was given the opportunity to continue to rule. You have gone before God, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, 3 times, crying and weeping. God has seen that. And because there is no other president who has cried and wept and knelt down and being prayed for, God loves you so much and He's given you that opportunity to remove, ung'olewe zile vitu ambazo sitaki kutaja, because I don't want to eat the vomit, but you know kung'olewa. And I remember in one of the clips you asked people, mumesikia hii maneno na mbona mumenyamaza? That is what it meant, kung'olewa. Those things zilikuwa zinang'olewa ndio uweze kung'olewa usukani wa binadamu, upewe usukani wa Mungu, uweze kuongoza dunia mzima katika ufalme wa Mungu. Be warned, my president, you have what it takes to do the right thing, and you can do it because deep down in your heart you're a good person. But because of the wickedness of this system of things, you have followed in the footsteps of greed, corruption. The voters card is no longer going to be used the same way it's been used. I've said those of you vying for any post, just know it's not going to be business as usual. Watu wa 1 term, watu wa 2 terms, mujue it is going to be the term of Jehovah God, because we are not electing Kenyan president. We are in God's kingdom, and we are only electing a representative in Kenya under God's kingdom. This kingdom is already God's kingdom is already ruling. Jesus Christ is the king of that kingdom. And Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Dr. Yoweri Museveni, and Dr. Madam Suluhu, they've been given that right, being led by Dr. William Samoei Ruto. I will continue to live stream, and it's with a lot of humility that I speak this message. But just a reminder, as I wind up this clip or recording, please, each one of you who is listening to this clip, at night, come out of your house, spend time, look at the skies, and tell me what is happening. You will notice there is no longer scattering of stars all over, because God has started gathering the great crowd, those who have washed their garments in the blood of Jesus Christ. They are now entering into God's kingdom. God's kingdom rules. Check what's happening. Send an inbox to me. Tell me what you see. Na wewe Dr. William Samoei Ruto utakuwa funzo kwa dunia mzima, kana kwamba mtu anaweza kutii Yehova aliyemuumba, awe ni raisi, awe ni maskini, awe ni tajiri. So vile utakavyo chukua huu ujumbe, it's really up to you, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Unaweza uthiaki, unaweza uchukua na useme, hebu, for the first time, I do what God is telling me to do. Remember Nebuchadnezzar. Remember Nebuchadnezzar. The writing is on the wall. Are you going to read the writings? Those of us all over the world, start changing what you're doing, because judgment time is here, and these are just last warnings. TikTok, Facebook, social media, mainstream. Joageo, you've done very well as Nation Media House. And let me just tell you, Joageo, I will be giving a clip exclusively about Nation Media House. But if you happen to stumble on this clip, don't think Nation Media House was just a name that whoever started Nation picked it. He would have picked any name, but he picked Nation. Nation is going to be rebranded to nations, because nations of the world are going to be blessed based on what Joe Ageo of Nation Media House is going to do. I don't want to talk a lot. That's it for tonight, for this clip. May those who have ears hear what the Spirit of God is saying. This is the global queen. She's no longer the queen of Africa, because God does not just love Africa. Of course, it had to start in Africa, but it's gonna extend to all over the world, to those who have ears, because you have a chance to live forever, where there shall be no more death, no more dying, no more suffering. Can you imagine that life? You living forever with your loved ones who have died, having been resurrected. It's up to you. The choice is yours. Just two. You choose right or wrong. You choose death or you choose life. Dr. William Samoei Ruto, remember Jonah. When Jonah thought he could run away from a task or from a mission he had been given by Jehovah, God was not short of Jonahs. He would have picked any other Jonah, but he made him deliver what he had purposed. Please don't let Jehovah put you figuratively in a shack for 3 days. Listen and do the right thing. Listen and change your leadership style, because you're highly favored of Jehovah.